right, everybody get ready. All right. Shh. All right, Jackie, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
So, Disney has always tried to convey a message that pertains to the lives of people in current society, so it can inspire the movies to apply it to their own lives or their views, such as like the creation of movies where a woman does not need a man to succeed in life, or that appearances does not matter. But back in the 1920s, Disney focused on issues such as the Jim Crow laws to incorporate into their movies and has created lots of problems to this day. So, with the end of the Civil War, the signing of the 13th Amendment to free the slaves was a massive victory for the African Americans, but the humiliation still continued, especially with the Jim Crow laws that were put into place. These laws were set to limit the amount of freedom that they could have, such as what kind of bathrooms they could go to or what kind of schools they could go to. And Disney came up with short clips and lots of movies that continue the humiliation of the African Americans. So the first clip that was created by Disney was a short clip named Santa's Workshop. That was created in 1932, and the whole setting is about Christmas and Santa with the elves trying to create toys to give around to the children. And in one certain scene, a blonde doll is seen coming down from the conveyor belt, and that's where Santa tells it to say mommy, and it does say mommy, so that's where he stamps it okay. And then right after that doll, a black doll is seen coming down from the conveyor belt, and as you can see, it has like really bad like hair, and then it has a really bad dress, and then it starts to just run around the table, and it says mammy. And back during the slavery time, mammy was like a slang word for like an African nursemaid who usually took care of their master's children. And it really set a lot of people off since it's supposed to be a kid-friendly short clip. Then the next one was Mickey's Melodrama that was created in 1932. And it takes place in a theater where a big audience is waiting for a performance. And then the camera is taken backstage to where we see Mickey and all of his friends getting ready to play this one play, and the play happens to be Uncle Tom's Cabin, which if one knows, it was that book was created by Harriet Beecher Stowe that was meant to so America could see how bad slavery was. And then Mickey is seen put on a wig, a really bad dress, and then he has a dynamite in his hands, which then explodes, and it creates a blackface, which blackface was something that actors would do so they could portray African Americans in lots of scenes. And then along with that, during the play, the master is seen yelling out to Mickey to come out of the cabin, and that is where he says, "Bow down to your master. I own your soul and your body." And then he starts to whip Mickey. And then this really upset a lot of people because it was the book was meant to educate people about slavery, but Disney then turned it into something humorous. So one of the other famous movies that Disney used lots of racial slurs was in Dumbo, that was created in 1941. And in Dumbo, it has 3 black crows, and one happens to be named Jim Crow. And it usually they portray the stereotypes of African Americans, which they smoke cigars and they speak in jive. And then another scene that really upset people was in the scene where the workers are seen setting up a tent. And I'm just going to show a little bit of it. And especially if you listen to the lyrics to it, you can hear how it could upset people. So this scene really they cause a lot of people to be uneasy since you can see the workers are black and have no facial features. And so the next one that probably a lot of people have not heard about due to how many racial stuff there were in it, and Disney decided to try to take it off every platform available, was the Song of the South. And it takes place in a plantation in the 1800s where a man, Uncle Ramos, is introduced. He used to be an ex-slave, but he decided to stay on his plantation after they were freed, along with other workers, and they seem to be really happy in their plantation, but it just portrays that they're just trying to desensitize the whole issue about slavery. And what made Song of the South different from other movies was it was the only movie to have an African American play a lead role up until 2009 with Princess and the Frog. And throughout time, there also have been many other short appearances of Jim Crow laws being put into Disney clips, such as Fantasia, which is a world of beautiful centaurs with long, luscious hair. And then you see a black centaur named Sunflower, who is seen combing their hair and then always doing stuff like whatever they want. And then in the remaster of Fantasia, Sunflower was taken out. And then also in Little Mermaid, in the scene where Sebastian is singing Under the Sea, a blackfish is seen with oversized lips, a dark skin, and also a voice to mock African Americans. And also a very famous one is Jungle Book, where it really set people off because everyone talks in an English accent except for the monkeys, and who talk in jive. And a lot of people would compare King Louis, was a big example because his desire to be a real person and wanting equality that viewers know he'll never get because he's just an ape. And a lot of people related that to African Americans who wanted to be treated equally with white people. And so, in conclusion, Disney has had a long history of making references that has upset people. As they try to cover up some of them, like Song of the South, it's impossible to really, truly cover it. But with the creation of Princess and the Frog, Disney has made a major step to improve that they are much more accepting of every race.
All right. Thank you, Jackie. Questions? The last speech of the semester. Come on, we gotta have questions. Or no. So, I've heard of a lot of these, and some of them I hadn't heard of, or I had not heard of. I didn't know about for instance, the Christmas shop, one, the Santa's Workshop one. But I've heard of a few of these throughout the years. But one thing that's been notable, I've never really heard or seen Disney react publicly in any way, whether it's an apology or whether it's an acknowledgement or whether it's defiance or anything. Did you come across any response by Disney?
No, there was nothing about Disney really putting out a statement or even like apologize. Maybe they're just trying to, I guess, take steps towards becoming a better company and try to cover up their dark past. So maybe that's why they're trying to provide more lead roles with different races, like maybe Moana or Princess and the Frog. And
as far as the past stuff, they're just basically trying to ignore it, cover it up.
Yeah, ignore that it never happened.
Oh. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Okay.